always liked doing shows with people who are doing important things to help children be happy, to help children grow, to help children be part of good communities. On this show, I've invited Jamie Smith. He is from all places, Pennsylvania, and we are taping here in Palo Alto. Jamie is the executive director of an organization called the Social Fabric Collective. I'm going to ask him a series of questions, partly of why he's out here in California. I'm going to ask him questions about how his organization helps children across the nation. Jamie, how are you today?
Good, thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming out here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Later, I'm going to ask you why right now you are in Palo Alto. But first, I'd like to ask questions about the Social Fabric Collective, okay? Tell me, what are 3 goals of your organization?
The intention of the program is to really give young people a sense to take hold, take notice, and take heart of their future.
Well, let me see if I heard that right.
Yeah.
1 goal is to help children take
Notice, take hold, and to take heart.
What do you mean by take hold?
Take hold is really assuming a sense of discovery in who you are, what you're drawn to visually. It could be through photography, why you photograph certain things, self-awareness, things like that.
So you feel it's important for children to, let's see, get a better feeling of their environment, including people, and ideas and issues that may affect their lives. Is that what you mean by taking hold of different ideas, developments, whatever? Is that it?
Yeah, I think it's vital to their development as a human being, and it's also important to help them give a sense of purpose, but part of that is figuring out who you are, where you come from, what influences you, what decisions you want to make.
So, later on I'm going to ask you how your workshops, your 501c3 helps do that. What was the second goal?
So take notice is the first, take hold is the second one.
What do you mean by take hold?
Take hold is empowering them to assume a sense of responsibility, accountability.
So accountability, responsibility, these are qualities that you believe are important.
Yeah, along with a sense of intention and purpose, why you're taking a picture, what you want somebody else to get out of it.
Okay, let's see, responsibility, accountability. Now, as you know, I just happen to know your parents quite well.
Okay.
Did they hammer into you the importance of taking responsibility and accountability?
I think both my parents are only children, and I have 2 older siblings, so when I look back, I think they were very hands-off, and they were very much, it was a strategy. I don't think they were neglectful, but I think they wanted their kids to have a strong sense of independence and be able to fend for themselves. So they expected us to work and do things, but it wasn't like they were hovering over us.
Okay, we're not going to deal much on your parents, but I just want to say, I recall your father used to work at the United States Geological Survey.
Yes.
A segment of the Department of Commerce, or the Interior.
Interior.
And he was studying, mapping earthquakes along the coast of California, maybe?
Yeah. Both my parents are PhD geologists from Stanford. Yeah.
Yes, and I remember your mother was at Stanford in development, and she was also one of the first women, I think, to go out and do field research. And I think one of her great areas of breakthrough was with mollusks. No?
Yeah, her field research is a lot of from Palm Springs down all the way into Baja California in the late 70s, but you're correct. When she was in college at Stanford, the men during the summer would go out and learn how to map and collect rocks, and the women went to the library. She's one of the first 3 women that went out and did field research.
So both your parents are highly developed, highly motivated, and I like both of them a lot. The third goal you mentioned was to take heart. What do you mean? What do you expect the children to do when you say your goal is you want them to take heart? Help me.
I expect them to develop a sense of empowerment that they can have a positive impact and change, make decisions about the outcome of their future. It could be, if the first part is developing an awareness of yourself, as a group, we like them to take heart and work with different organizations that they choose that are doing important work in the community and see how they can communicate to the community what they're doing matters and why.
Okay, so you feel it's not enough for them to observe something. It's not enough for them to sort of get a little bit involved. You really want them, and you correct me, to buy in to important things that they should do or pursue.
It's more meaningful. They have a deeper sense of purpose if it comes from them. So yeah, I want them to come up with the idea and execute it, and to have a public-facing, we always do a printed exhibit of photography, but also they're volunteering in different organizations and making an impact, doing community outreach, doing interviews on the radio and the newspaper. So they're telling people what they're doing and why it's important to them.
Okay, so now you have moved into the realm of how you help the kids.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could ask you that question now.
Yeah.
And can you tell me one thing your program does that helps the children attain those three goals that you mentioned?
Sure. On a technical level, the easiest thing is access. So we're in a community where the average income for a family of four is $35,000 a year. So for most of them, having access to a digital camera and a computer. So each student is loaned a camera. So the first thing is they're given the opportunity to have this tool. The second thing is they come together. Most of them don't know each other when they start the program, so they're developing a sense of empathy, seeing pictures every week from 9 different individuals, 9 different neighborhoods, households, their family, their church, their sports, whatever, and they're starting to bond as a group and get a sense of somebody else. What your normal is might not be somebody else's, and deal with de facto segregation in a way. You're dealing with somebody from a different economic status, a different ethnicity.
Okay. So, you know, I've heard the word photography a couple of times. And so would I be correct to say the act of photography is the essence of what you're doing?
Yeah,
you're using the photography to help enable these children to move forward.
Yeah, personally, I use photography, and I try to encourage them to do this too, as a visual diary. I don't typically have a set goal in mind that I'm going out to photograph a certain subject. I carry the camera with me all the time, and it could be one day I get 5 great pictures and the other day I don't get any, and I try to encourage them to do the same thing. Just make it a part of your daily life. So show me what's going on, what's important to you. It could be heartbreaking, it could be beautiful, but I want them to be their voice. It has to come from them.
Okay, I guess other organizations find other ways to get children to become involved, to become engaged, and to grow. And your thing is photography.
Yes.
And I would like to ask, how did you get involved in photography?
I got involved in photography when I was in college. I went to the University of California at Santa Barbara, and I had a great mentor and teacher named Richard Ross. And he gave us a lot of leeway, but his 3 things were lighting, access, and content. He's done a lot of important work on taking a look at architecture and how it affects the space that we're in and we occupy. And so he has work on comparing public institutions of learning with places like Guantanamo Bay and detention centers. And he has a really interesting project from 30 states where he's looking at the juvenile detention system in our country. So that's where I got a sense that photography could be used to explore something that you're curious about. And I really dove deep into it in college.
Okay. So now I'd like to ask, where is your next workshop? I think you put on workshops, and is this for high school or elementary students? What is it?
It's for high school only, and we have scholarships that are need-based. The application is need-blind, so any high school student can apply. And we're going to do 2 this summer in California. One will be in Petaluma, and the other will be right here in my hometown of Palo Alto.
Okay, Petaluma, isn't that one of the parts of California that had that horrific firestorm?
It did. In fact, last year we did a program, and a couple of the students who were in that workshop had to be evacuated. And again, they used the camera to document something tragic in their life and what was going on in their community.
Okay, so when this year in Petaluma are you putting on your workshop?
We're doing the Petaluma workshop the week of July 16th. It's a Monday through Friday, and the Palo Alto one is July 23rd.
Oh, July 16th. And how long? July 16th is Petaluma.
Yes, sorry.
And it's open to children in any high school in the Petaluma or the greater Petaluma area?
If they can get to Petaluma and they're in high school, they can come. And in fact, it's a more enriching experience if we have people from different schools that may not necessarily know each other, because they learn probably just as much from each other as they do from us.
And how many children, maybe you said this already, how many will be involved in the Petaluma?
10. We fly out a set of 10 cameras. Yeah.
10 cameras. Where do you get these cameras from? You rent them? Volunteers
No, I self-funded them by doing an adult workshop in New York for a couple of years, and then we ended up funding the program, buying cameras and computers.
When you say 5 days, children have to go to school. Oh, July, that's summer.
It's in the summer, yeah.
So this is like a summer program.
Yeah, and we go from about 9 in the morning till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then they take the camera home with them with the idea that they can use that camera to start doing portraits of
No,
people in
am
their
I
lives.
correct? Petaluma is in Marin County.
I
think?
believe it's in Sonoma County.
Oh, Sonoma.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this show will air across all of Marin County.
Yeah.
You know, an organization called Marin TV broadcasts my show, but also, you know, some folks in Sonoma County can get in access. How do parents or children discover that there's a scholarship waiting for them? How do they discover that?
Sure, our website, which is socialfabriccollective.org, under classes, there's a section just for the Petaluma class, and you simply type in your information and give us a little bit of who you are and what your interests are, and send us the information, and then we review the applications in the order they're received. There's also my email, which is jamie@socialfabriccollective. You can send any questions there.
If I had a child, how would be the best way for me to articulate the child's interest that would help the child win a scholarship?
You don't need any experience, you don't need any equipment. So really what we're looking for, a couple of the questions on there, what are your 3 strengths and what are your weaknesses? And so we're looking for somebody who has a sense of curiosity and that also has maybe a growth mindset. They're open and they want to explore and see if photography can be used as a tool to help them shape who they are and what they want to do.
Okay, curiosity is
it's a big one.
Big one. Yes, curiosity is important. So July
16th in Petaluma is a Monday. That's the first day.
And it's good to say your website one more time.
Socialfabriccollective.org.
Okay. Now, before we started this show, you told me you're out here because you are working with various different organizations to put together a program in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to talk about any of those organizations until everything is signed, but can you give me an idea, first of all, when you might put the program on out here?
Yeah, the Palo Alto workshop will be the week of July 23rd, and that's also a Monday to Friday.
July 23rd. So then you'll be up in Petaluma, and then you'll be coming down here. And so we have a lot of schools here. Would you look to put this on?
Sorry, which school do I want to?
No, not which ones, but you're going to do this in a school, or are you going to do it in some other kind of organization?
In Pennsylvania, where we have the computers, we do it at my building. But realistically here, we supply the camera, so all we really need is a room where we can meet and discuss and critique, and we bring a projector So we don't necessarily need a computer lab. We just have a room where people can make eye contact and have a human interaction and kind of feed off each other.
Okay, and this is your hometown, Palo Alto.
Yes, sir.
And how old were you when you left here?
I went to college in 1995, and I was 18. I came back a little bit in the summers and things, and right out of college I moved to Pennsylvania to work for newspapers. So about 95 would be the last time I was a full-time resident. Okay,
and now you've put on these workshops other places, and I think I read you did a photography, one of your, I think, social collective, fabric.
Collective, a workshop or
Right.
a class? Yeah.
I was trying to also come up with the term, a term of your having to do with helping to develop children. That's where I was going. Okay. Did you do one of these for children that are vision impaired?
Yeah, so another component of that Take Heart thing is each session in Pennsylvania, where we have 4 months, the students develop a sense of who they are as an individual, their identity, and then we get them as a group to focus on some sort of community building aspect, some organization that they can partner with. And one of the ones we did last spring was the Northeast Sight Services, formerly Association for the Blind, and they have a transition program for young high schoolers to get ready for independent living or college. And so we did a program where they came in and got to work with their peers. As photographers, the students got to kind of figure out how do you interact with somebody who is trying to present themselves but may have a little anxiety or nervous about, where do you ask them to look? And then we flipped it. The students got to download the pictures, and in real time, the transition students from Northeast Sight Services became the client, and they got to be, telling the photography students, this picture I like, and here's why, and what you could have done. And they got to learn from each other, and we also got to talk to a British photographer named David Katz, who's now in Israel, and a very accomplished guy who's just come out with a story that he's legally blind. So the students got to FaceTime with him and interact with him on a level as a photographer and also somebody with a visual impairment.
All right. Now, if you're visually impaired, and that might mean some children can't see at all.
Mm-hmm.
How can they benefit from an environment where they can't focus on the images and?
Well, they sometimes feel isolated from what they've told me. There was only 1 or 2 of them who had no light perception at all, and a couple there's one, Brandon, who I spoke to in particular. He uses a device, sort of looks like an iPad, but has more of a braille component to it. Okay. But for him, it's a social thing of interacting with people his own age. Sometimes they have programs and things at school, but somebody with a visual impairment can feel very isolated, and so just the aspect of working with the students, and they did photograph him and would talk to him about it.
Now, you've been a good guest.
Okay.
And we're going to end the interview right now. Jamie Smith, Executive Director, the Social Fabric Collective.
Yes,
and
sir.
That website again?
Socialfabriccollective.org.
Good. Thank you very much. I want you to sit here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Michael Killen, and I have been working on painting California's climate plan. And by that, what I mean is taking a look at the goals of the plan and trying to articulate them in a meaningful way on a canvas. I'm looking at the strategies to attain those goals, and I'm attempting to articulate them in paintings. And I'm even looking at I think when we talk about plans and strategies, organizations play an important role. And I'm looking at the organizations in the state that play a major role in executing the climate plan and how those organizations interact with the different strategies. And I'm looking at one other thing, and I call these the zeitgeists, and the zeitgeists is the thoughts, the big thoughts at the base of a lot of planning. And those zeitgeists that I'm looking at are sustainability, resilience, adaptivity. I hope I got that one right. as well as mitigation. Okay, now I'm going to get up, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not a painting that articulates California's strategy. This is sort of a background, auxiliary painting. This is a painting about bringing attention to the emerging environment that is being caused by too much greenhouse gas emissions. The name of this painting is Extreme Weather. And if I had to have a subtitle, it would be, you don't need a high school diploma to tell you where the weather is going. So this is a painting that I just finished. It's part of my larger Art of California's Climate Plan. But again, it's not one of the paintings in the series that address or articulate the goals, the strategies, the principles of California's Climate Plan. I'll be showing them shortly. But briefly, I will interpret this painting. Now, extreme weather. We know there are people in various parts of the United States and around the world where the weather is already forcing them to retrench, to move. This part of the painting represents the threat that many of us now face, that the weather will become so extreme, we will have to run. We will have to retrench, retreat. That's what this represents. And I want to come over here. This part represents tornadoes that are coming, rough water, high water that's going to wash away a lot of our homes, our factories, our infrastructure. Now I want to come to the middle of the painting. I tend to think about this as a specific example of what extreme weather is going to be, and also over there what extreme weather is going to do to us. But the middle panel is more symbolic of what's going to happen to us. This is a distressed pole. At the top of this pole is a weather vane. And the weather has become so extreme, this pole is bending, shaking, wobbling, and all of this represents the weather vanes that are breaking up and flying all over. So this represents sort of symbolically what's happening with weather all around the world. And in some cases, the weather is getting colder, it's getting hotter, it's getting more moist and wet and more dry, and who knows, maybe there's other things happening to it. So I made this painting to help remind us that the weather is definitely becoming more extreme. And as it becomes more extreme, it becomes very costly to us. You know, people are going to lose their jobs, homes, and loved ones. And we need to recognize that, and we need to do things now to mitigate the impact of the weather. And extreme weather, and I am making about 10 of these paintings, including the ones on California's Climate Plan, in hopes that in September of 2018 in San Francisco, when California presents its Global Climate Initiative, where Governor Jerry Brown will help celebrate the success of California's climate plan. I'm hoping this painting, as well as the other paintings I am making, will be on display there. And now somebody just asked me a little while ago, what is the significance of all of these pieces of yellow? Well, a hint is this: sustainability. Several years ago, for NASA Ames, they asked me to make a painting inspired by their new building called Sustainability Base. And as I worked on that particular project, I started to think about, we need an image for sustainability. And I decided a gigantic yellow infinity sign, for me, is the best image to represent symbolically sustainability. So here is that image, ladies and gentlemen, and it's being threatened, and that's why it's in pieces now. And that is why the state of California has this massive climate plan to help assure the sustainability, the resilience of the great state of California. And there are many states, but not all of them in the United States. All of them have plans, but not all of them have a climate action plan. And I'm working on presenting California's climate plan because I think, in part because it's one of the better plans for helping to slow the growth of climate change and to enhance our sustainability, our resilience. And probably when I finish California's climate plan, which will be soon, I will probably do France's climate plan. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity. I am Michael Killen, and I'm in Menlo Park, California. Thank you very much.